As Oliver already introduced myself, I am from Dataplant, and today I will briefly show you how we deal with metadata annotation using Swate in combination with ontologies. So to give you a brief background information, what our main purpose in Dataplant was from the beginning. So we offer a broad range of different kinds of tools and services for data management and metadata annotation. We actually started focusing on fundamental plant scientists, so people who work in greenhouses or in the lab. But later on, based on the flexibility of our tools, it was also possible to reach out to different kind of research domains. So the main concept of the Dataplant is the RO-Crate-based annotated research context, which functions as a standardized folder in order to store experimental data, computational data, as well as the annotation data, so the metadata. And as you can see here, the annotated research context is a folder structure, as I said, and it resembles the ISA structure. So we have investigation, study, and assay layer, as well as, in addition, different kind of workflows. But these are at the moment not important for this talk. So I will mainly focus on how we annotate the data that is then stored in the different kind of folders, which is done via the Swate tool, which is actually an Excel add-in. The output that is generated by Swate is ISA conform. It is an ISA tab format executable, and as you know, the ISA data model provides different kind of standardized vocabularies and also concepts that can be used to describe the experimental metadata in a structured way. And each ISA entity usually has a list of required metadata where it is preferable to use ontology terms rather than free text. So we in Dataplant have, for example, several ontologies that might be interested for the different kind of ISA layers. For example, you can see here that based on the study layer, we use ontologies that are necessary to describe how a plant was grown or how the samples were collected. And this concept, of course, is also relevant for many different kind of domains. So diving a little bit deeper into the Swate tool, as I already mentioned, it is an Excel add-in that allows metadata annotation in a spreadsheet-based way. Here, ontologies are employed to standardize both the headers of the different kind of columns and the respective values. So the metadata information is added as so-called annotation building blocks. The user can select the annotation building blocks or also generate new building blocks for themselves, however they require. And it is also possible to use different kind of templates that we are already providing. Or it is also possible that the users can contribute by making their own templates and share them with the community. So here you can see a filled out example with a few examples. So based on the ISA data model, it is possible to add the different kind of building blocks, like, for example, characteristics such as labels, factors such as, for example, temperatures, or also parameters, which might be, for example, an instrument or an instrument model. So within the Swate tool, it is then possible to perform ontology term search, which can be used to easily annotate the metadata. It uses basically is relationships between the different kind of values and the column header So for example, you can see here that the user, when they want to use a specific protocol type, they have the possibility to use here for a specific protocol that they want to use. In this case, it was a growth protocol, which is a protocol type within our ontology. So in all the different kind of ontologies that can be used via the Swate annotation tool are stored in the so-called Swate database. And this is part of a broader data plant metadata annotation tool chain, as we call it, which you can see here, how everything interacts with each other. So Swate has direct access to the Swate ontology database, which is a Neo4j graph database, and this is updated via the so-called swap up service, which reads from different kind of GitHub repositories in data plant. So the swap up service serves basically as a link between the repositories and the Swate database. It is directly connected to GitHub, which allows us, of course, then data integrity and versioning of the ontologies. It saves all the ontologies that we have at the moment in the Neo4j graph database. And this also serves, of course, as a connection between the different kind of ontologies that we have. And basically, this whole concept that we have here allows to directly use any kind of term or ontology that is added via GitHub directly within the Swate tool. Here you can see a brief overview of the ontologies that we store within this database. So we have a broad range of external ontologies that were selected at the beginning of our consortium. And as you can see, we are actually not just having plant-focused ontologies, although we are called data plant, but of course we have a lot of other different kind of ontologies from different kind of research domains, because all of these are also relevant for us for the experimental design, for example. And this is easily adaptable, so all different kind of external ontologies can also be added. We have now also started to add bacteria-specific ontologies, because here we have use cases that also want to use the Swate tool for the metadata ontology. Furthermore, we also have a so-called broker ontology, which allows us to collect missing terms for the user, so the user can suggest us terms that they actually require for their metadata annotation, and we add them here terminally and then suggest them back to the external ontology provider. So since we want to basically connect either, and especially the ontologies that the user can use on the different either levels, we recently also screened more than just the ontologies that we have in our database for a review, which was also done together with Steffen Neumann, and which was also slightly inspired by the Ontologies for Chem review. So, and what you can see here is that we screened which kind of ontology the user can actually use for the different either layers. So for example, these ontologies that have this square can be used by the user to describe the different metadata fields in the investigation sheet that we have within Swate. So to briefly sum this up, Swate is an Excel add-in that can be used for data annotation using Swate spreadsheets. It is then in ISA tab format. Ontologies can be used within Swate via the so-called term search, which is linked to our database where we store all our external ontologies. And it can be used actually independent of the research domain, so can also be used beyond the plant sciences, of course. So, and of course, this was not done by me alone. So I want to thank some people, especially Steffen, who reached out to us and also inspired us for our review paper, the ontology curation and also taking care of adding new terms is done in Jülich by our team. Kevin Frey is the developer of the Swate tool. He's in the group of Timo Mühlhaus in Kaiserslautern, and the swap up tool was developed by Marcel Schöpe in Freiburg within the group of Dirk von Sophodolitz.